Greetings, everyone. I'm Dan. I have to announce we had a great founders meeting the other night. I'm really excited to see how our group of founders grows after this update. Right off the bat, I want to say gauging interest and examining each of the starting founders' areas of expertise and vision of what the project could or will be really solidified a lot of details, so much so that we're ready to start moving forward with specific plans of action. So I'm going to go through some things and tell you how we're going to get this project off the ground in 3 weeks, recouping startup costs in 2 months, and paying dividends for initial investors in Q1 of 2026. We'll start with the leadership. I'm going to make it clear, after discussion with other founders about their level of involvement, this project will be fully led by me and the team, which the founders may be part of or have a hand in recruiting. However, I stress that this is a classic investment opportunity. So you will put in your money, and in a few months, you will get a return on your investment. You don't have to do anything. As for leadership, I have 6 years in country. I've resided in many provinces, some that don't even exist anymore. I've dealt with movers and shakers of business people, government leaders, students, parents. Basically, I run the gamut. I speak the language. I'm well versed in the nooks and crannies to find the local prices and native processes. Our customer base is going to be Vietnamese students, and to that end, I'm going to offer them conditions that they are comfortable with. Let me demonstrate why we can do this for the prices that I have outlined in the prospectus. Traditionally, it's known as foreigners we get charged more. Everything is more expensive for us. But if you know the language and you know where to look and you know who to ask, then you can get local rates, just like I do, just like we're going to in this project. So normally you might search for shop space or shop house, and you would get a location at one of the Vinhomes complexes, right? And one of those shop spaces might be 50 million a month, 6 million a month for rent. We just need to pay 2 months deposit and 1 month rent. That's 18 million. And it may even come with some of the materials we'll need. If they don't have to clean out that deep freezer over there, we could definitely use it. Save some more money. But anyway, that's the location. 18 million off the break. Done. Furniture. Now you're used to high-end wood and metal furniture. Leather bound chairs, cushions. That's what you're used to. That's what I'm used to. We're business people from the West. Business people in Vietnam are just fine, just comfortable enough to use local materials like bamboo. This set of bamboo furniture, the table and 4 chairs, will run us 1 million dong. We need 10 tables and chairs for our mat bang, our shop space. So we're looking at about 10 million. This set is only 9. So this one looks a little small. It's got the Vietnamese style backless chair, but these are full backed, normal height chairs and tables. It's only 900,000 for the set. This one with the bench seats, only 200,000, and these are low. I personally prefer to sit in full size chairs and tables, but that's just my personal preference. Doesn't matter what we prefer, because we are accommodating Vietnamese students and their Tiger Mom parents. 700,000 a set of tables and chairs. This, I'm going to stress this, the plan of action I have is, and I don't want to say this derogatorily, minimally viable product. We're not building Starbucks. It was very clear amongst all the initial set of founders in the meeting the other night that we have no interest in building Starbucks. We're not making the next Highlands. We're making an immersive English experience. And to that end, the tables and chairs don't matter. Now, I also want to stress that as Black people, we know we need to go above and beyond. We need to be twice as good to get half as much, right? I also agree with that. Now, I'm not saying we offer substandard or subpar service or quality. What I am suggesting is that when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And 99% of the places that people go and spend their money utilize red plastic stools. We're not better than Vietnamese people. Our goal is to make money, not to give people comfortable chairs, more comfortable than they're used to in their normal everyday life. Let them sit in what they know. This is cheap. To that end, being cheap, we're also not trying to be, high-end coffee roasters. The vision and goal that we have for the initial location, I'm not saying that as far as future plans, we can't grow. Absolutely, our business will expand and improve and diversify over time. But to begin, our core offering is 100% English environment. I don't know anyone who's from America. If you remember what a cup of coffee was like, I haven't been back to America in many years, but I remember I used to drink coffee from 7-Eleven. I got a big gulp cup size of a big gulp size cup of coffee, right? With 5 squirts of vanilla shot in it. You want to provide an American experience, an English experience, weak coffee, big cups. We're not selling, Robusta roasted bean, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that, and neither should you. We care about offering English for people who want to speak English. And while they are sitting in our location speaking English, let them sip on something. And they can sip on coffee made in a kettle. We get 3 of these kettles. And let people drink 3 in 1. What I will say, to elevate the experience, because I'm not an idiot, to elevate the experience of the 3 in 1, nice cups, 31,000 for a set of 50, right? You get a set of 50 cups, 31,000. You fill that bad boy up with ice. Before you pour the coffee in, you get one of those little electric foaming beaters, 72,000, as you can see in the photo, and you foam up the cheap coffee. You foam up the cheap coffee, pour it over cheap ice into a cheap cup. There's some branding stamps. I didn't picture it here, but a branding stamp has to be custom made for our brand. You put that in front of people and let them talk in English. They will be satisfied. You are. I don't know how many times you've looked behind the curtain at a coffee shop, a cafe, but they got a pitcher full of old coffee from the morning that's just sitting there. And then when you order a cup, they put some canned milk at the bottom, mix it with the old coffee, pour it over a cup full of ice, and give it to you. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're doing as the Romans do. You'll see coffee holders, easy egress, easy to grab, trays, serving trays. All of these reasonably priced. Even if we do decide to do coffee and tea, we can get one of these big tea nets for 15,000. I show you these only to emphasize the affordability of this. Um, you know, in business, coming from a business oriented, a big business oriented culture like ours, um, learning from the experience of others and getting expert advice is looked upon, highly favorably looked upon. And to that end, I went out to some Vietnamese people and I said, how much do you think it costs to start a cafe? Oh, my mom has a cafe. Oh, my family has a cafe. We got a cafe over here. Got a cafe in my house. How much do you think it costs to do a cafe? And then they're reluctant to tell you because they think you have money and maybe they think they might get some from you. But when you get down into it and you say, and I said, oh, well, I was talking to some other foreigners. We're talking about doing a cafe. They're saying prices 150 million, 300 million, and they laugh at you. They laugh in my face. 300 million, and because they believe it's more expensive for foreigners that we're going to do a higher quality endeavor, of course, but it's just out of our and their minds that I'm sorry, bro, I don't have any cash. It's out of it's just out of their realm of perception that we might do something comparable to what they do because we're different. But no, we're all people and we all live here. So we should do it like it's done here. And we don't need hundreds of millions. 80 million, actually, very reasonable amount of money to open a small, cheap cafe because we don't care about. Again, I just want to stress this to anyone listening and anyone considering being a founder. This is not a coffee shop. This is an English immersion experience. So the bulk of our funds will be spent getting staff trained up to speak English 100% of the time, breeding a culture within the space of English only. That means all English decorations and English menus. Um, Response to questions will be in English. Even if the customer asks in Vietnamese, we need our staff to respond in English. And to start, I'm a big fan of bootstrapping. I wouldn't say I'm a fan. Maybe it's been born out of necessity in my case, but when you bootstrap it, you're in it. I'm as the head of the project. I 100% intend to be at the shop every day, guiding the growth, and I would welcome other founders, other investors to take an active role in the growth and building of the endeavor, but not necessary. It's simple. It's tables and chairs and customer service. America is the king of customer service. There is no better place to be served. And as such, I will bring my experience of customer service to the space. But yeah, you look at the prices on this in this chart. Uh, it's broken down. 18 million rent, 13 million for tables and chairs, and that might be high. 6 million for it's supposed to say tools and consumables, so that's coffee machines, knives and forks, and whatever we need. Other materials, 10 million for whatever, and then the contingency fund of 15 million. Um, I'm not a math whiz, so excuse me if I'm simplifying this a bit. the real numbers are in the text. So if you want to read them and get it, you can. But at least three customers per group. An average spend of 75 to 100,000 a group, and an average sit time of 30 minutes to an hour. So the trick is the prices here are normal, average 25,000 per item. The milkshakes and whatnot actually cost 30,000. So I'll up the average to 30,000. No, let's say 25,000 an item. At least 75 per person, or 75 per table per hour. They've got, we'll say, simplified to 10 tables. They're making 750,000 an hour. But you can only assume 50%. I assume 50% occupancy for a day. So, at the rush times. So 75 times, these shops actually don't stay open super long. It's like lunch to dinner. So we'll say 6 hours, we'll say 7 hours. Open, 3 hours, full, 750 times 3. What's that? I don't know that. 21. 750 times 7 is 21 and 50 is 15. So 70. I say 22 is 20. Okay. 2.5 million. 2.5 million is what they make a day. What we will do is cut costs, because an average coffee shop they've got average coffee shopping, and they focus on coffee and different teas and juice. They got a lot of overhead for their large menu offering. We cut all that down. We're going to offer a basic menu, and we're going to triple the price. Why? It's an English immersion experience, right? So our coffee will cost, a pack of coffee costs about 8,000, a 3-in-1, which is what we will serve. If you know of a better return or better more profitable format, that's fine. As a founder, you should offer those insights. But to my knowledge, a pack of coffee costs about 8,000. One pack can make 3 cups of coffee, right? When you factor in the ice. One pack should make about 3 cups, and we can add a little sugar or a squirt of flavor. We can three. So that takes the cost of a cup of coffee to produce down to 5,000. 5,000 to produce a cup of coffee. We're going to sell our coffee 3 times the rate. So their coffee costs about 20. We're going to sell ours for about 60. And you're going to say, oh, who's going to buy coffee for 60? Well, that's the key. This is not about the coffee. It's about the experience. And again, the average spend for people is 100. But this is a special space. People are coming here specifically to spend time in the space, not to drink the coffee. And so to that end, the price of the coffee is like a price of admission, and they will pay it. because they consider it education. Once the word is out to the parents and the teachers and whoever, the private classes, once the word is out of what's happening, our space will be de facto educational space, but not educational. I stress that we are not teaching anything, we're not teaching anybody. We just have an English coffee shop. We avoid all of the rigors of licensing and qualifications and all of that. We avoid all of that. So our overhead is super low. We're selling a cup of coffee at 60,000. Guaranteed groups of at least 3 every order. 60,000 times 3 is 18. So within 180,000 a table an hour. And we are going to be open all day because we're good at customer service. So we're going to be open as long as there are customers who need service. We're going to do it at least a 12-hour day. If I had my way, we'd open as a coffee shop. We should open at like 6 at the latest 6. A good coffee shop, might open at 5:30. But anyway, so we'll be 6 to. The coffee shops open. They stay open late here, 6 to 10 p.m. How many hours is that? 18, 16 hours. So we're open 16 hours a day, and we assume half occupancy, full occupancy for half the time. 8 hours of what did I say? 180,000. 8 hours of 180,000 an hour is. I'm gonna do that to it would be 16. Close to 16. So I don't know. I'm just off the top of the dome. Read the text if you want the completely actual, completely sharp numbers. I'm off the top right now, and I'm just rounding. So we're about 200,000 an hour. For 8 hours, we get 16 million a day. The initial investment is 80. So we make 80. Now, obviously, as we're starting out, we're not going to make 16 million a day. That's maximum. That's running full throttle. All right, picking up where I stopped. Just do a quick research. To get to that sustained, reliable 50% occupancy rate, I'm giving you very manageable numbers. Nothing pie in the sky. These are all low-end numbers for like baseline businesses, right? This is not a successful endeavor, doing only 50% occupancy for 50% of the time. So, to reach that level of consistent revenue, we're looking at 3 months of operation as word of mouth grows. So, taking all of that into consideration, a cup of coffee, 60,000. The cost of a cup of coffee is 5,000. But if we layer on top operating costs to each cup of coffee, we'll move it up to 20,000. 20,000 per cup of coffee to make 40,000 in profit. 40,000 times 3, 6. This is 120,000 per group or per table. 8 hours, 120,000 times 8, 9.6 million a day. We make 9.6, cut it down to 9.5 for easy math. We make 9.5 million a day. We gotta look at a prospectus. But after 3 months, that's October, October, November, December. And we'll take out October because we'll say we're looking for a place. So November, December, January. But we're going. You get your first investment, your first dividend after the first quarter. So a quarter of the 80 million is due at the end of the first quarter. So we're at about 60 million. Take 20 of that, and then that leaves us with 40 to split among the founders. So I expect that at the end of the first quarter in 2026, we have 40 million profit to split among the founders. Dan, I just wanted to interject real quick. I realized I forgot to say this in the video. Your $8 million investment, coupled with the numbers you just heard, 40 million in a quarter, is where the prospectus gets the 500% return. Okay, so you invest 8 million, and at the end of the quarter, we're talking of 40 million in revenue share. So the numbers are all realistic. Everything is grounded. Again, you should get an accountant to nitpick because, things like salaries are not yet factored in. But the main point is it's all upside. And if you want to know exactly how much upside, that's all available in the coming updates. When you confirm your investment commitment, the depth of information and the full scale of plans and the minutia is available to you as an investor. So that's it. There's no mistake in the numbers. I know it seems like a lot, but we're really taking the lowest common denominator possible, the worst possible conditions, low occupancy rates, low table turnover time, low everything. Everything is low. So that's it. Just trust the numbers. It's all right in front of you. And if you have any questions, I invite you to join the next Founders Conference call. It can all be cleared up. Any question you have, reach out beforehand on Facebook or on the group chat, on the thread, to my Zalo. But yeah, let's get the ball rolling and to reinvest in the growth of the business. We're upgrading furniture or the decor or materials or improving staff training or, there's all of that. We got 13-month salaries and team building. There's a bunch of, costs that come up with operations. But again, that's covered in the contingency fund, which we will continually restock. So yeah. Yep. What I would say is let's do another founders meeting. Tuesday night. I'm working late. Wednesday. We'll do next founders meeting. Next founders meeting is on next Wednesday, 6 o'clock, 6 to 7, 1 hour. Six to 7, founders meeting. We can discuss everything that's in this update. Hopefully we can get some firm commitments and get started. Because again, optimally, for the next 4 weeks, we have 4 weeks to find and secure a shop space. And that can be done as quickly or as slowly as necessary, but this is agile. I want this to be an agile endeavor. I'm a fat nigga, but I move fast. I'm fat, but I keep it moving, and so when we have 18 million, we will be able to rent a place fairly quickly. And the 18 million may change because the place I found is an example. It may not be available, but in general, we're going to stay in that range, 10 million or less, to rent a shop space. And we will, one of my areas where I would focus my attention as one of the founders is at marketing, social media, the word of mouth, spreading the word of mouth and getting out the organic growth. I've got a following on TikTok. There are a number of famous teachers in Vietnam, right? Teachers can be famous here. There are a number of famous teachers. I'm not going to say I'm a famous teacher, but I'll show you a video. Hello, good afternoon. What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Hello, what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Get out, get out. What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? How old are you? How old are you? Eric, we're going. Oh, come here, we're going. Oh, come. What's your name? Oh, come on. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Hello. I like it. Getting students and parents of students to attend a free space to practice one of their most important skills with a famous teacher. I'm not trying to be pie in the sky, but I just talk from my own experience. Generating word of mouth, building up the customer base is not going to be a problem. Not going to be a problem. And as long as we can train up the staff and get a good rotation of foreigners in and out of our establishment, 50% occupancy, 50% occupancy per day. It's nothing. So those are the raw numbers, raw napkin math numbers. Hopefully that answers your questions. Again, full perspective. Full prospectus has a more detailed breakdown. If you want like accountant level math, then as one of the founders, hire an accountant. Or propose that we use a portion of the founder's investment for an accountancy firm. That's completely reasonable. As a founder, we should work together in this, even if it's just mentally work together. I don't expect any founders or anyone here to be boots on the ground. It's not necessary. I would say this endeavor is completely plausibly accomplished by a sole proprietor. I can and could complete this mission alone. However, I have a passion for Black people. I have a passion for us. I want us to achieve the heights, the soaring heights to which we already achieve but are never acknowledged for. Does that make sense? We're so good. We do so much. And everyone looks down because of white supremacy. And I believe that if we just concentrated our efforts instead of spreading them out all over the place, we would be able to build a power base pretty simply. And to that end, this very simple, small, low risk, low investment risk endeavor is available. 80 million is not a lot of money, and also I need to stress, starting this doesn't take 80 million. We just need to get the space and then the first table. I need to stress this. We don't have to roll out 100% completed. We don't have to get 80 million and then spend 80 million and then hope that people come into this. That's stupid. That's stupid. There's a viable way to do business, but it's just not the way I want to do it. It's not the way we should do it in this situation. We are doing a concept that many people aspire to, but few have done successfully. I believe, and I think it's reasonable looking at the numbers and what's available, that if we apply the correct practices, business and operational and customer service practices to this format, then we can bypass a lot of red tape, cut down a bunch of overhead, and offer service well above par, thus attract a sustained and loyal customer base or clientele. So that's it. Read the prospectus if you want in-depth numbers, as in-depth as I made them. And if you want even more in-depth, or you want to shop out the idea to some accountancy and double check, that's fine. I don't care. Honestly, if people could have done this before, maybe they would have. And if they can't do it, or they could have, and they just haven't for whatever reason, no one's done it yet, we're gonna do it. Or we're not. I honestly believe it's pretty simple. So maybe it's just so simple it escapes the vision of big players. That's it. I want to invite you guys to the next founders meeting. Our